Stories by the River is interested in creating these soul awakening moments, we're hoping that watching this film has given you a chance to want to talk about what you've just seen. That you would find it helpful even, that you would have an opportunity to kind of talk about it and have a chance to process it. So before we get into any of the specific questions that we might ask about watching this film, I'd love it if you could just get into your groups for a moment and discuss the following questions. So the first one is going to be, what did you like? The second one is, was there anyone or anything in particular that you related to? And then the third question is, were you surprised or moved in any way by anything that you saw? So maybe just gather into your groups and talk about those first three things. So before the movie began, I asked this question: why would anybody want to apply to a science experiment like this one? One where you're somehow scientifically preserved for 200 years with the hopes that in 200 years they can somehow bring you back to a state of consciousness. So why would anybody want to do that? What's their reasoning? And indeed, there could be all sorts of reasons to why that might be. So why don't we get back into our groups again and just start with these questions. So the first one is, what are some reasons for why somebody might want to join in on a project like this one? But then the second question, what is Jocelyn's reason in particular? And then maybe following up on that, do you find that you either know of or have heard of people who express similar sentiments to Jocelyn? And then finish up with, how do you feel about that? Okay, let's get back in our groups. So thinking back again to the movie, we find that Jocelyn and Emma make all sorts of assumptions and judgments about one another throughout the interview. So let's get into our groups again and take some time to discuss the following questions. So the first one, what sorts of judgment statements come out during the interview? And then after that, what sorts of assumptions are made? And maybe those two will kind of flow together. Then follow up with, given that Emma and Jocelyn leave this interview in a very different place than where they started, what are the catalysts that allow for that change? Okay, let's discuss. So as we look to wrap up our discussion here today, I want to finish with one more question in particular. Playing with Ice exists as a movie because we strongly believe that it's totally not okay for people to be walking around in our world today feeling the way that Jocelyn and Emma feel. We at Stories by the River want to be part of the solution. We want to be a catalyst that encourages people to value one another. So before we leave today, I'd love for us to take a few minutes to get back into our groups and ask this question: how can we be part of the solution? Okay, let's discuss. So if there are significant things that you feel have been said in your discussion times, what I'd encourage you to do is to not leave those behind, but to actually take those with you as you go today. If you find that you discovered some meaningful action points, I'd certainly encourage you to go ahead and do what you can to pursue those things. And if you'd find it helpful, I'd encourage you to consider having more conversations like this. Maybe show this movie in particular to somebody else. Maybe host a conversation of your own. But whatever you decide to do, I certainly hope that today has been meaningful and that something has happened for you that you feel you can take with you for the rest of your life. So thanks for watching, and thanks for being here and being a part of this. And if you've liked this, we certainly have more films. We hope that you'll continue to come back and have more discussions with us. Thanks.